12:01, he's the one and only Doc On JOX, Dr. Mark Ricketts, and he brought one of our favorite Rickett with us, right?
That's right, our former intern, Polly Ricketts.
Who's back with him today.
Cutting class over in Tuscaloosa.
Must be red cup time at Starbucks or something close to the holidays, bringing the daughter around before she has to give out gifts. This is your gift today. She came with you. You're not getting anything under the tree this year.
It's like that's something new. Come on, guys.
Dr. Mark Ricketts will tell you how to get in touch with him in a second. Your phone calls, if you'd like to talk to the Doc on JOX with anything medically going on in your life, we'll get to that in a minute at 741-9450. And if you're listening to us in Huntsville on the UMP or Sports Radio 740 in Montgomery every Wednesday, we take 30 minutes out of public service to answer any medical questions you have in your life. 1-800-239-9569. In a second, we're going to talk about body quirks, one of the little fascinating things with our human body that Doc has lined up for us. So we'll get to that in a second. But first, this time of year, we continue to talk about the Beat Auburn, Feed Hunger.
Beat Auburn, beat hunger, and Ryan,
it is. Beat Alabama, beat hunger.
It's such a confusing saying every year for me.
Yes, obviously.
Well, this year, again, I kept plugging this. If you really want to do something to help your fellow citizens in the state of Alabama,
right,
this is a great way to do it. You don't have to be present to do it. But let's face it, we got a gorgeous Saturday on both campuses. A lot of first-time folks will be going down to Auburn this weekend. We got, of course, obviously, a ton of Alabama folks coming down to the Capstone for the Tennessee game. Look for the red food barrels. Bring canned food. Again, your tailgating organizations, if you want to do something, it's a great time to do it. And if you are technologically challenged like I am, you can simply text to 27722. That's 27722 and answer yes, and you will donate $5 to the Beat Auburn, Beat Hunger program. I don't know about Auburn's side of it if they have that, but listen, either program, it's going to be a great weekend. It's going to be a great way to support it. This goes on to the week before the Iron Bowl. I always believe competition makes you better. This makes our state better. It takes care of our citizens in our state. This is the 20th anniversary of this. And just to show you what we've done in 20 years, we went from donating 1,000 pounds 20 years ago to last year's total was over 300,000 pounds of food that went into the West and East Alabama food banks to feed Alabamians that were in need. And I'm just all about it. I just think it's huge.
And the food banks get very, very low around the holidays, but year-round. So this helps you do it 365, right?
You bet. You can turn this, and you're doing good works all year long, and it's just something great you can always be doing.
And you can see more about the Auburn portion of this, the Beat Bama Food Drive, at beatbamafooddrive.com. That's simple, beatbamafooddrive.com. So if you're an Alabama fan or Auburn fan, or if you're the 1% in the state that don't care about that rivalry, pick a side and get involved.
Pick a side and just
it's helping people.
Text 27722 and we'll take care of it.
That's right.
I'll start that one. Beat everybody, beat hunger. How about that?
That's right. Let's just beat hunger.
27722 is the text number. Do you still text the letters BABH to that? Text the letters BABH.
That is correct.
To 27722 and then answer yes when you get the question. And that's an easy way to donate money, and you don't have to worry about the cans. But it's always good to bring the cans.
100% tax deductible, folks. If you're looking for more deductions, it's a great way to rake up some money there. That'd be good.
All right. We appreciate that. We'll tell you more about that before we get out of here. Questions in a second on the phone. But body quirks. We're looking forward to this one. Some quirky things about our body.
It's always one of my favorite episodes of the year, and we get a lot of good feedback from this. But I want to talk about some things that happen to you, and you might, I don't know if you get bored. If you're like most everybody, I guess you walk around and say, oh, the heck with it, I don't care. But if you get bored, understand why these things happen. Even though we're into the fall, let's talk about a brain freeze. Now,
had it this morning.
Oh, yeah.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah, you get eating that ice cream or that milkshake a little too quick, and boy, all of a sudden that stabbing pain between the eyes.
I had a smoothie this morning. Same thing happened to me. But it's not because of the time of year, right?
I went way too fast. It almost buckled my knees. It's the worst brain freeze I've ever had.
And it is terrible. But how is it some people don't get brain freeze? My little guy will drink an entire milkshake. We'll go to Hamburger Heaven, and I'm not exaggerating. He'll get on the milkshake and he won't stop, and he never gets it. How's that possible?
I can believe that about Jack. Well, Jack's just Superman. We all know that about him. So.
But there's some people, obviously, that just don't get it.
Maybe he's got a higher threshold of pain than you do.
Wow. Here's the deal. It's all about temperature changes in the brain. What happens when this occurs is you get a rapid constriction of the blood vessels in the nasal nasal passages in the back of the blood vessels going up to your brain from the change in the temperature in your mouth throat area. And then all of a sudden, to warm it up in response to that constriction, those arteries all dilate.
Oh.
And when they dilate, that's when you have pain like from migraines, which is, yes, it has been a bad
That's what it felt like. It felt like a horrible migraine
and
this
it's
morning.
sensitive.
Yep.
If you have migraines, you tend to be more sensitive to that.
Yeah.
Younger people like Jack don't have it as much because they already have so much blood flow going to the brain. They don't always get the intense constriction and contraction like you do later in life. But it is a weird thing, and it's one of those things that, boy, the tearing of the eyes and everything else is often your body putting more blood flow in that to raise that temperature.
Can you stop it?
Oh, yeah, you can stop it by drinking maybe it's something warm behind it, but your body's going to lag behind a little while. So that's one. Second one is called hyperhidrosis. Now, who would guess what that is?
Hyperhidrosis. That's when you get too much water and it comes out of your pores. I don't know. But
Well, you're right on the second part. It's excessive sweating.
okay.
And it's
And Will Muschamp has hyperhidrosis.
Well, at least he's got that. And he needs to have an offense. But, it's
That's what's causing the hyperhidrosis.
It must be. Yeah, it's called unemployment pending. But it is a genetic thing that runs in certain folks. They will produce way too much sweat, usually foreheads, under the arms, and it can be in non-stressful situations. It'll happen. There is actually a prescription strength deodorant that will help with that. And for the forehead sweating, actually Botox injections are exceedingly good for that. Vertigo, one of my favorites, and that's when you get all of a sudden unexpected dizziness. A lot of folks getting that right now, and that's when there are 3 what they call semicircular canals in the middle ear that act as sort of your gyroscopes and balance to your brain. That just one of those can get hung up, either from too much fluid or an infection, and it just makes you horribly dizzy. Even this change in barometric pressure like we're having right now, or turn on the heat in the house, is bad about setting those things off.
When I make this turn right here past this window, I get a little off balance right on the turn there.
Sure.
Is that depth perception, or could that be vertigo?
Well, it's both, because
Okay.
you got your optic nerves are shooting right through that same part of the brain, and there's a lot of feedback in there. A lot of older folks have it because vision
thanks.
is... I still got you beat by 3 years, Jim.
If Jim falls out the window, is it going to kill him, you think? That's a 3-story fall.
Well, it'd bang him up pretty bad.
Yeah, I
I
would
guess
agree.
it all depends how we go out.
So that was an age thing. Me rolling here and
That's
thinking
right.
I'm going to fall out the window.
We let him jump out 10,000 times. How many times could he land on his feet?
50%.
Ooh, that's not too bad.
That's pretty athletic.
Land on his feet
And
without
now-
blowing
imagine-
both knees,
No,
ankles, and
that's not gonna
spine.
happen.
And if he jumps rather than is thrown out the window. Now, that's the question.
Going feet first. That's the key.
But a ninja can make that jump and roll, right?
Yeah, or you could be Rocky. What do they call him? I'm trying to remember the character's name from Pulp Fiction. The guy that got thrown out of the window for giving
Tony Rocky Horror.
Tony Rocky Horror. That was it. Yeah.
He didn't land well though.
No, not well. And all
What
that.
do you get for giving a foot massage, Doc?
The foot massage master. All right, the next one, hiccups. I mean, again, a common malady, and what it is when your diaphragm or your major muscle that allows you to breathe goes into spasms. It can come from eating too much, drinking too much, or sometimes if you're an asthmatic and having troubles with breathing, the sucking into the air like that or breathing into the air can cause these to go around. There's no exact cure. All the wives' tales about fixing the diaphragm spasm all work. So, but it's one of those interesting things that nobody really has a real scientific notice as to what happens.
But scaring me doesn't help, so stop.
Yeah, just
Right.
stop. Just stop. People just use that as an excuse, Jim. Arms and legs going to sleep, and that's caused by putting direct pressure on the nerves. They actually feed into the arms or feed into the legs and can actually cut off blood flow to that area, and that's what happens. And if you ever want to know what somebody with neuropathy feels like, that burning, stingly, pins and needles type pain is
Really?
what they feel like all the time.
Constantly.
Constantly. Wow. That's why it drives them crazy. Tonsil stones. I hate to gross anybody out, but anybody that's ever had these is when the little crypts or holes in your tonsils collect food when you eat, and you use something to press it out 'cause you get this big white glob that just smells to high heavens. Well, that's basically food that's decaying in that tonsil. Maybe a good time to talk about having a tonsillectomy. Ears popping, and then that's caused by your eustachian tubes, the tube that leads from your middle ear into your throat, gets blocked and you can't equalize pressure through it. So what you try to do is, pinch your nose, breathe a little bit, get the pressure through there. Charley horses, and that's just basically a muscle ache in the calves. Very much the most common cause for that is dehydration. overuse, nerve irritation, and if you're sweating too much and potassium gets low, that could occur. Earwax buildup. Part of your, if you believe in evolution, it's part of your evolutionary process, and if you don't, well, you're just cursed. But it's where the glands in your ears produce too much wax. And that was built evolutionarily, they believe, to keep insects from getting in the ears when man was sleeping on the ground. You got guys and girls that have hairy ears and do this. You can. There are some preventative things you can do for that. But
Have you seen women with hairy ears?
Yes.
Inside of the ears?
You bet.
Ooh, that's a deal breaker right there.
Well, let's hope you're not looking at her ears. Black hairy tongue. How many of you guys have ever seen anybody with a black hairy tongue and just thought, oh, God.
I've never really seen that.
Werewolf, maybe.
Yeah, you told me about it 2 years ago. I'd never heard of this before.
Well, yeah, it's where
crazy.
basically you're not wearing off the skin on the upper layer of the tongue, and it grows too long and it begins to die and comes off. And sometimes you can actually get yeast growing in that too.
Oof. That's not from licking the women with the hairy ears, right?
No comment.
You're just tuning in.
But the big thing there, poor oral hygiene, smoking. Sometimes using mouthwashes too much will cause it. The way you got to do it, just take a toothbrush,
Scrape it off.
scrape it off.
Or an axe, just cut it off.
Yeah, one of those two.
Well, that could be done too. Eyes twitching. I get that asked all the time. You get that twitch in your eye.
Right.
What can I do to stop this, or what's caused it? Most times it is just caused by fatigue and eye strain, and you just need to lay back and close your eyes for a few minutes and gently massage around the eyes, and that should take care of the eye twitch.
Ooh, massage around the eyes. That sounds nice.
Hey, go to the one of the hair places here in town does that. Dark circles under the eyes, usually caused by age and fatigue, but it's caused from a lack of blood flow, where basically your muscle that goes and controls your eye is not getting enough blood flow, or is just overly excessively tired, and blood tends to pool there just like it does in your veins and your legs, and you get those dark circles.
See, I don't feel like I'm working hard enough. If I don't get dark circles under my eyes.
Well, that could be true.
Yeah. See. If I don't have dark, baggy eyes, then I'm not giving you guys 100%.
Let Maggie punch you a couple of times.
Well, that's a different type, but that's why you face wells. And then lastly, excessive hair growth. You got ladies with the facial hair. You got guys that grow hair from every orifice. A lot of that's just genetic, and you just have to go after treating that and trying to get rid of the hair follicles. But those are some kind of the weird, non-threatening medical maladies of life that occur out there.
I can't believe you're playing this.
Doc, what are you doing? You're trying to...
It's a rivalry week game.
Yeah.
You're trying to fire up the guys.
I'm firing everybody up.
Okay.
It's just like at practice, man, when they blare this over the speakers back when Tennessee used to be good to get the guys pumped up and ready. And
Doc talking smack.
It is a catchy song, isn't it?
The first, 5 times you hear it, but if you ever go to a Tennessee game, they play it endlessly.
If we put it on loop at the Doc On JOX in your office, but you're guaranteed another national championship for 1 week, would you do it?
Sure.
For a whole week?
Well, and I'd play it. I mean, we'll play with the Pride of the South band or whoever's playing it. What counts, as Coach says, is what happens at the end of the season. Anyway, I digress. Let me knock out our Scholar Athlete of the Week before we take calls. It's Jack McDaniel from the Vestavia Fighting Rebels. He is a 4.0 GPA. He's a soccer player, made 29 in the ACT, member of National Honor Society, plays midfield for the Rebels on the soccer team. Plans to go to Auburn, which, for this, what he's going to do is great. And then wants to enroll in medical school. Got a great pre-med program there. He wants to play intramural sports. History is his favorite subject. And this is a new one for me. Fits in the Tantrums is his favorite iPod.
Oh, yeah.
Listening to group. But congratulations, and we're thrilled to have you as our Scholar Athlete of the Week.
All right. Parts of this hour brought to you in part by
Superior Grill, Birmingham landmark, and the perfect place to watch all the big games. Superior Grill, Highway 280, from delicious fajitas to the mouth-watering Crazy Javier. Come enjoy Mexican food on the climate-controlled patio. Perfect for watching football this fall. Happy hour 7 days a week, 4:30 to 6:30. Get in today to Superior Grill, Highway 280.
Jam-packed on the phones. Let's knock them out. John in Hoover starts us off with the Doc On JOX. Hey, John, how are you?
All right, guys, how y'all doing?
Wonderful.
Two things, Doc. I've been meaning to come in. I'm 33. I want to get a physical.
Okay.
And, get an overall idea. But you're such a huge bammer that I'm just trying to get the courage to come in and do
Well, if it makes you feel good, all my nurses, except for one, are all Auburn fans.
Oh, okay. All right. Well, that'll work.
You'll see plenty of blue and orange in the office, too.
All right. Well, good. The reason I called is it seems to me that smokers get all of the press and publicity, and us dippers seem to get left out.
You bet.
I've been dipping for 17 years now, and I really want to quit. How has your experience been with Chantix, and does that work for dippers?
Well, let me tell you the official line. It is not indicated for that, but the unofficial line is it works. Listen, I've done that ever since that drug came out, and it's basically going after the same nicotine craving in the brain. However you get it, whether smoking or orally, it will work. We will get you off of dipping.
Awesome.
All right. Thanks, John.
1 year old. Well, thank you.
You got
You
it, man.
bet, buddy.
Gene in Gulfport with the Doc on JOX. Hey, Gene, how are you?
Hey, how y'all doing, guys?
Great, man.
Got a question. The question is not about me. It's about my little 7-year-old boy. I'd kind of like to have a second opinion. Or me and my wife would kind of like to have a second opinion.
Yes, sir.
A couple of years ago, he was diagnosed that he has ADHD.
Yes.
All right, he's taken 2 medications. One, which would be Focalin, which is like a time release
Yes,
for
sir.
about 12 hours. And then he has to take anywhere from 1 to 1.5 Ritalin a day to kind of offset the Focalin, I guess you could say. I've heard, and the doctor that has prescribed this stuff has said that most all the medications that you take for that type of illness, or however you want to put it, cause you to lose your appetite, or cause them to lose their appetite, or they do not have one. Like on the weekends and stuff, that he doesn't take the stuff, or during the summertime, he eats like a stuck hog. Is there anything that he could take, or not necessarily take, but anything he could sit there to kind of offset not having the appetite to where he doesn't, he just looks like skin and bones just because of what the medicine does to him. I just kind of like to have your opinion, and what could we do?
Well, now let me tell you first of all, I'm not a pediatrician, so I can't officially comment on this, but I'll tell you what I do in my tweens and early teen kids that I deal with this condition. That's going to get better over time. I think leaving them off the medication sometimes over the weekends, particularly as they get to those tween and teen years, is not a good idea. A lot of the appetite things, your body's going to override, a child's body's going to override that lack of appetite stimulation when they've got to have nutrition and calories to grow. Luckily, you get around that 7-year age range, that's not a big growth period for most children. I'd watch him as he approaches 8 and 9 when there is another big growth spurt that occurs, and see if his nutrition doesn't improve during that time. In the meantime, try to get him to drink, I love Carnation Instant Breakfast and ice cream mixed together. I don't know hardly anybody that'll turn down having a milkshake. And if you can do that for your little man in between time while he's on his medications, I would do it. I would not stop his medications, because right now him being successful in that classroom is so important for his personal self-esteem and him doing well and feeling like he fits in. I'd keep it going, but I'd just try to do the Carnation Instant Breakfast and ice cream in between. And watch next year if you don't see him starting to eat a whole lot more as he gets a little bit older.
Okay.
Thank you, Gene.
All right, I appreciate
Yeah, that's a tough thing when you've got to take medication, but you don't have
It's
your
hard.
appetite. Yeah,
It's hard.
and kids can be picky eaters anyway. You know?
Bet it, particularly at that age.
Yeah, let's go to Brandon in Birmingham. Hey, Brandon, how are you?
Hey, you're doing great, guys. Appreciate you taking my call.
Sure.
I'm an avid runner. I run anywhere from 3 to 4 times a week. In the morning times, I usually have my coffee, but after that, I start drinking water, and I've been drinking about a gallon a day. I want to know, is that too much, not enough, or what would be the best fit for me?
Well, my guess is I would probably half that. And if you want to supplement the other half, I would use a sport drink, because what you're getting with the water is great for the hydration. It's good for your muscles. It's good for your disc and your joints and those sorts of things. But you're washing out with that much fluid your electrolyte balance. So it was a lot like when we do long distance running. First water stop is 2 cups of water. The next water stop, you get 2 cups of Gatorade. I would take that and go about half and half. And as we move into cold weather, probably go down to about half of your total intake that you're doing right now, even with the imperceptible losses. That would probably be a better fit, and it would be better for your muscles and joints along the way.
Okay, thanks.
Thank you, Brandon. What's the normal I'm supposed to have? Just a normal person? Because I've heard it's
gallon,
6
right?
8 ounce. No, 6 8 ounce glasses, and then some would say it's based on your body weight.
It's based on body weight and exertion and a whole lot of things.
A gallon.
Well, people, believe it or not, will drink a lot. You get around it.
Well, Brown's exertion.
Interesting
That's
story
on the
with
run
Brown.
up.
I watched the
interesting story
football
with that.
players walk around with a big gallon jug, and they'll
Well,
fill
yeah,
that
but they're
gallon
burning
jug.
out.
Well, and I tell you, the actors, Lance, you probably saw this when you were in California, but actors, when you go to eat, will drink water incessantly rather than eat. And it goes on, and it's a real common thing, and you think you're doing a good thing. And
Does it
people
really
usually
fill you up, though? Because water's never filled me up. I remember reading an article on Sean Gilbert, who used to big defensive tackle with Pittsburgh and with the Rams, and he said they were so poor when he was growing up that they would drink 8 glasses of water before they went to bed. But I just don't.
I don't think it fills you up.
It doesn't. And what you're going to do is wash out your electrolytes.
Yeah.
You got to do a real balancing act with that. But Ryan, you're right on the target. Is what the official for the typical 70-kilogram person would be in a day.
So don't listen to Jimmy Landmine and go a gallon.
No.
A gallon could kill you. You drink too much water.
That's right.
Well, actually, a defensive tackle friend of mine in high school was drinking a bunch of water in the shower after we got done one day and dropped his sodium level too low and had a seizure. We lost him for the rest of the season, and it was horrible. And after that, our coach always shoved about 6 salt tablets in our hands and 1 cup of water and didn't let us drink a bunch after practice after that happened. So.
A couple of questions on Twitter as you get out of here, Doc.
Sure.
Mark writes in and says, ask the doc about a reasonable age for full contact football. Is 2nd and 3rd grade way too early?
My personal opinion is yes. I think probably 4th to 5th grade. Now, the over-the-mountain programs are doing a really good job. They're using NFL heads-up football program and training for their coaches and doing a really good job. 2nd and 3rd grade,
Yep.
I think it's a waste. I think I'd wait till they're in at least 4th or 5th grade.
I don't want to put words in Coach Saban's mouth, but I think I've heard him actually say before that you're not going to stunt your growth as a football player if you wait until 6th or 7th grade to start playing for the school.
Absolutely not.
With full contact. And all the coaches I talked to love the NFL flag football programs they have moving around town.
You bet.
One more guy wants to know, you were talking about earwax. Doc, and I've heard you talk about this before, but answer Chad, does those beeswax ear candles actually pull out wax, and are they okay to use?
They're okay to use. They actually do work, but I think a better preventative once your ears are clean is just a thimbleful of peroxide in each ear once a week. Put it in that ear, let it sit for about a minute, turn over. The peroxide will oxidize and wash out the ear wax, and you have great ear canals without doing any harm to your body.
So peroxide.
Peroxide.
Thimbleful.
Thimbleful.
Do we still have thimbles in the American household?
Well, if not, then put a little bit in a cap and put it down your ear.
Ask
The
Jane.
thimbles are still out
Ask
there.
Jane. She's got some.
A small shot glass full. That is the Doc on Jocks today, brought to you in part today by the Beat Auburn, Beat Hunger, which you can help out by texting the word B or the letters BABH to 27722 and respond yes. That'll be a $5 donation to the Beat Auburn, Beat Hunger campaign. And this weekend at the stadium, you can bring canned foods and non-perishable foods and look for the red barrels around the stadium.
Around the stadium, around the campus, everywhere, and Auburn's doing the same sort of thing down there. So bring in and let's contribute. Get your clubs and organizations together, and let's help fellow Alabamians.
And if you'd like to make him your primary care physician, the Doc on Jocks, that's easy to do as well.
Yeah, make the call 822-0233 or do what I did yesterday. Drop by, see him at that beautiful new facility, the Vestavia City Center. He's got the 2013 medical guide, absolutely free. I got to thumb through it yesterday. It's chock full of great information. That's 822-0233.
And if that's not enough, 24 hours online with the Doc on Jocks.
You can always watch us or get to us at marketsmd.com. Follow us at Facebook and Twitter. Be looking for our new phone app coming up soon and a redesign on the webpage.